Good morning, everybody. How are you doing out there? Doing well? Good, good. That's good to hear. I want to read something good this morning out of Hebrews chapter 12. Just jump right in it. He says, Therefore, I'm sure you've heard this many times, but it's really good. Therefore, since we are encompassed with such a great cloud of witnesses. Now, he's talking about what they call the hall of faith, all of the believers and prophets and folks who stood out there and showed their faith for God. Since we're encompassed, they're all there in heaven now, and they're watching us. They're watching us run the race. It's a great cloud of witnesses. Let us lay aside every weight. Means don't get entangled with things that weigh you down. They could be okay things. They might be okay for your neighbor, but if it weighs you down spiritually, if it weighs you down for serving God, for walking the walk of faith, let's lay it aside. Just cast it aside. I know sometimes it seems like things are essential for life. I can't do away with this. It's so important. It's important. It's for my kids. It's for my job. But if it's going to weigh you down in the things that matter, let's lay it aside and lay aside the sin that so easily entangles us. I always find that interesting. He says to lay aside the sin. You would think that that was a given. Lay aside, well, duh, the sin. We shouldn't even come close to the sin. But we're real. We're human. We're dealing with real things that people deal with. Lay aside the sin that so easily entangles us. If it's an easily entangling sin, find a way to get rid of all opportunities. Lay it aside, get it out. Don't let it drag you down like a ball and chain. It's really hard to run the 100-meter dash, or the 800, or the 1600, or the 3200, or a marathon if you've got a shackle on your leg and you're dragging, a 5-pound ball. Even if you were dragging a half a pound ball, that would mess up your race. Lay it aside. And let us, he says, let us run with endurance the race that is set before us. With endurance. He doesn't say let us sprint real quick and show everybody how amazing we are. Or let us sprint real quick, and since we sprinted so fast, we're going to reach this finish line and then we can just coast through the rest of life. That was one of my problems as a young believer, was I had this idea like I was going to reach this pinnacle of spiritual development, and then everything's easy after that. I've reached enlightenment, and now everything that comes, I know the answer. I don't have to work so hard anymore. That's not the way it works. You keep pressing. It doesn't mean it's harder. It doesn't mean it's a constant struggle in life, but you keep pressing. We're on the earth, and we need to keep on going to the Father, keeping him as our source. We keep abiding in the vine. You don't reach this pinnacle of enlightenment to where all of a sudden you know all the secrets of the universe. Now we grow, we run with endurance, patient persistence, the race that is set before us. And there's so many nuggets in here. It's not a race that's set before your neighbor. It's not a race that somebody put on paper for you and they told you, well, this is the race that every Christian needs to run. No, it's the race set before us. Right before you is the race. You run in your lane. In a track meet, if you run outside your lane, you get disqualified because they're running the race set before them. It might all be the same race. We're all coming to the same finish line, of the plan of God. But it's the race set before you. And let us look to Jesus. This is the real kicker here. The author and finisher of our faith. Looking to him. Doesn't say look to the Pope. Doesn't say look to Paul. Doesn't say look to your pastor or to Aunt Margaret. I love all these people. Anyone who has served the Lord and has shown other people ways to serve the Lord. It's good. It is good to learn from them, but he doesn't say to look to them. They are not the goal. If you're going to run your race, You need to look to the author and finisher of your faith, Jesus. You keep your eyes on the one who directs you. Keep your eyes firmly fixed on him, looking unto Jesus. Anytime you listen to a minister or to a friend or to a teaching or to a book, or even if you're watching the news, the news will try and influence you spiritually. You need to keep your eyes firmly fixed on Jesus. Look to him, communicate with him, talk to the Master. He loves you and he wants to hear from you today. Amen. Be blessed.